keeping up with everything happening in sports admin. I mean, it's a lot, right?
Oh, yeah, it really is. It's like its own sport almost.
Totally. And, we all want to be in the loop, but like efficiently.
Yeah.
Finding those key insights, that stuff that actually makes a difference.
Exactly. Like, cut to the chase. Tell me what I need to know.
That's exactly what we're doing today on the deep dive, getting right to it.
You shared some fascinating stuff with me before we started. Articles, even a brochure.
Right.
And it all points to this, like, fundamental shift in how successful organizations in the sports world, how they actually operate.
Big changes afoot.
Big changes. But think of this deep dive as like your cheat sheet, cutting through the noise, understanding what's changing and how you can stay ahead. That's the goal.
Absolutely. Just the most important stuff. No fluff.
No fluff. Pure insights, actionable stuff.
We know you're busy, tons on your plate, so we're going to deliver the good stuff, what you need.
And a good place to start, I think, is volunteer engagement, how that whole landscape is evolving.
It's the backbone of so many organizations, so let's talk about it.
For sure. It's essential to understand.
Okay, so volunteer experience, VX, wasn't exactly a new concept before all this.
No, definitely not new.
But what these sources are saying is that it's become, like, top priority, especially with more and more organizations going hybrid, part in-person, part remote.
It's way more than just filling in a roster spot now.
Right. Way more strategic.
Way more. So that traditional 9-to-5 mindset, coming to a specific location, that just doesn't work anymore.
Doesn't fit with how people live now.
Exactly. The materials really zero in on 3 key factors in VX: culture, technology, and the idea of physical space. And all 3 are getting like a total rethink.
Yeah, and a huge part of that is flexibility. Volunteers are basically expecting it now, when they work, how they work.
Oh, absolutely.
And what's interesting is the sources say there are benefits for organizations that offer it. Less stress for volunteers, more satisfaction, even, can you believe it, higher productivity.
Makes sense when you think about it.
People are busy.
Right. People are already juggling a million things. Volunteering has to fit into that.
It can't be another burden.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And by breaking free from that location thing, organizations can reach a whole new pool of talent,
Mm-hmm.
People with different skills, different experiences.
Wider net.
Much wider. I was reading about this local cycling club that switched to a project-based volunteer model.
Okay, interesting. So no set hours or anything.
No set hours. And you know what? Their signups jumped by like 40%.
Wow, that's huge.
And a lot of them were professionals, people
Yeah.
who could never do that like weekly meeting thing.
Yeah, makes sense.
So there's this big untapped pool of talent out there.
Yeah.
But, and it's a big but, all this flexibility, it brings a new challenge,
Yeah.
burnout.
Right. How do you prevent that?
Yeah, because it's not just about managing tasks, It's about creating an environment, a culture, where volunteers actually feel valued as individuals, as people. Like, there's this Simon Sinek quote, really stuck with me. He says, when people feel that somebody actually cares about them as a human being, they will be inspired.
That's so powerful.
It is, right. It's about human connection, even in a, digital world.
Even more important in a digital world, perhaps.
Maybe. And that sense of being valued, it has to be reflected in how the nuts and bolts of administration are done.
Okay, the more practical stuff.
Right, like the recruitment, onboarding, all of it. The sources talk about this shift towards collaborative platforms, and it's for everything.
Mm-hmm.
From that initial, hey, come join us, to ongoing development, motivating volunteers, keeping them engaged.
Making sure it's a good experience all around.
Exactly. Think like your committee meeting, but it's on Zoom.
Yeah.
Totally normal now.
Yeah, default almost.
Totally. And onboarding. That's virtual, self-paced modules.
That's amazing. And it all ties into the technology piece, right? Because tech is like the glue now, holding it all together.
The connective tissue. The sources even call these platforms the digital headquarters of organizations. I love that visual.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Because it's not just about work, right?
Wow.
It's where you build that sense of belonging, that shared mission, especially when people aren't physically together.
It's where the team lives now.
Exactly. And they summed it up really well, actually. They called it the new VX imperative.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of boils down all the big changes happening.
Give me the bullet points.
Okay, so we talked about that wider talent pool.
Mm-hmm.
Accessing that is key. Then offering flexibility, hours, location, all of it. Quick check-ins, not formal, but staying connected. And optimizing the remote workspaces of volunteers.
Making sure they have what they need to succeed.
And a big one, volunteer wellness. That's becoming a key metric for success.
Measuring how happy and supported they are.
Exactly. And on the flip side, what are we moving away from? Well, proximity bias,
Yeah.
that tendency to favor those who are physically present.
The old out of sight, out of mind problem.
Right. We're also seeing less of those super rigid, long meeting structures, fewer one-on-one check-ins, and those blanket policies, the one-size-fits-all approach, definitely out.
Got to be more tailored to the individual.
Absolutely. It's about recognizing everyone's unique needs. And that brings us to, I think, our second big theme, culture and alignment. Because when you have a team, staff, and volunteers all working remotely, staying on the same page, it's trickier.
Much trickier. Yeah.
So much trickier. You can't just bump into someone in the hallway and have a quick chat anymore.
No more water cooler moment.
No more water cooler moments. So the sources really emphasize that strategies for alignment, they have to be intentional, adaptable. They got to work for everyone, whether you're in the office, on the field, or remote.
A whole different ball game for leaders.
It really is. And one concept that I thought was super interesting, they call it openness as the default management style.
Okay, tell me more about that. What does that look like in practice?
It basically means sharing information proactively. Don't hold back.
Right.
And pushing decision-making to the front lines, the people closest to the action.
Giving them more autonomy.
Empowering them. But, and this is a big but, it only works if you have those centralized platforms we were talking about.
Right. The tech needs to support that.
If information's all over the place, different systems, inboxes, forget it. That open approach just falls apart.
Yeah, that makes sense. If it's all siloed, you can't have that transparency.
Exactly. I mean, Jeff Tripp from Basketball NSW, he said it really well. He was talking about how important it is to have a consistent way to communicate and to make sure everyone understands the big picture goals. That's how they scale, you know?
Everyone rowing in the same direction.
Exactly. And that
Yeah.
shared digital space, that's how they do it.
It's the new meeting room.
Absolutely. Another crucial element is empowering asynchronous work. We talked about proximity bias, right? Well, this helps combat that because it allows people to work on their own time, you know, when it fits their schedule. Amy Farrow from a netball club, she put it perfectly. She said, when volunteers can work flexibly, the work shines
That's a great quote.
because it levels the playing field. People can contribute regardless of where they are, when they're available. And that makes for a much more diverse and inclusive leadership team.
So what's the takeaway here? How should we be thinking about alignment now?
Well, they summed it up as the new alignment imperative. We need more visible leadership, leaders who are accessible, more transparency in discussions and decision-making. And we need to make sure that every voice is heard, regardless of location.
Equal footing.
Equal footing. And crucially, we need that robust central system for knowledge, the single source of truth.
So less of the email blasts, less of that information hoarding, and those in-person only check-ins. Gotta go.
Gotta go. And same goes for the one-size-fits-all policies. It's about creating that level playing field, regardless of where someone's working.
Okay, I want to switch gears a bit now. The sources talk about something called the ecosystem economy. It sounds kind of, I don't know, almost philosophical.
It's a big idea, yeah. But it has real practical implications.
Okay, what's the gist?
It boils down to recognizing that creating value, it doesn't stop at your organization's door anymore.
It's bigger than that.
Way bigger. It's about building partnerships, but not the old school rigid kind. We're talking dynamic collaborations, deep integrations.
So less doing everything in-house and more finding the right partners.
Exactly. It's about what they call value orchestration, bringing together specialist partners and using tech like APIs to make it all work seamlessly.
For those who don't know, APIs are like the translators between different software systems.
Perfect analogy. So your membership database can talk to your event ticketing platform, all that, without manual data entry.
So much more efficient.
Night and day. And Harvard Business Review had a great quote about this. They said, in this ecosystem world, success is as much about helping other sports innovate as it is about being innovative yourself.
It's about collaboration, raising the tide for everyone.
Totally. The sources also talk about auditing existing partnerships. And this is key.
Why is that so important?
Because things change so fast.
Right.
What worked a few years ago, it might not be cutting it anymore. You got to make sure your partnerships are still delivering value, especially in this new dynamic ecosystem.
Regularly checking in.
Regularly. And tech plays a big role here, as you might expect. They specifically mention platforms like Tidy for managing communication with external partners.
Securely.
Super securely. So no more messy email chains. Everything's centralized. They call it a single source of truth. And Mike Yakovlev from Ovens Murray Football League, he talked about how important that is. Having all the member information in one place. Well, these platforms do the same thing for partner relationships.
Streamlining it all.
So much more efficient. So that's the new partner imperative, right? Yeah, embrace the ecosystem, orchestrate, integrate using APIs, collaborate securely, and that shared, reliable source of information. That's crucial.
No more information silos.
Exactly. And less of that information asymmetry, where one partner has way more knowledge than the other, fewer rigid agreements. And you really need to understand the risks in this interconnected world. Proactive risk management.
Forewarned is forearmed.
For sure. Now, we can't talk about partnerships without talking about customer experience, CX. The sources actually use the term CX convergence.
Okay, so what does that mean in the sports world? Because customer experience, that's usually more of a business term, right?
Right, but it's becoming more and more relevant in the sports world. It's about recognizing how closely linked the experience you give your members, your CX, is to the experience of your volunteers. The VX we talked about.
Happy volunteers, happy members.
Makes sense, right?
Well,
If your volunteers are supported, they're going to create a better experience for everyone.
absolutely. Plus, customer expectations are rising everywhere.
Oh, yeah. Because people are used to these seamless, amazing experiences with the big brands. And they're starting to expect the same from their sports organizations.
That bar is high.
And local clubs especially, they're feeling it. They have to be agile, innovative to keep up.
So are we saying the lines are blurring between different admin roles? Like it's not just the membership person who's responsible for CX anymore?
Not at all. The old silos are breaking down. Comp management, merch sales, events. Everyone who interacts with a member, online or in person, is part of the CX now.
And email, I'm guessing, just doesn't cut it anymore?
Those endless email chains. Nope, not efficient at all. Platforms like TidyHQ are stepping in. They're handling everything. Event planning, tasks, even finances, handovers.
Bringing it all together.
A much more streamlined approach. And it's so much more transparent.
It's really interesting how everything's connected. Like these platforms, they're not just for volunteer management, they're actually improving the member experience too.
Exactly. And that brings us to another emerging role. Ops, the operations leaders.
What do they do?
They're the glue. Because with all these different software systems, someone needs to make sure they're all talking to each other. That's the ops person. They keep everything aligned.
Making sure all the pieces fit.
Exactly. Troy Swainston from Eastern Football Netball League, he talked about the huge productivity gains they saw just from integrating their systems. And Sean Barrett from Ovens and Murray Football Netball League, he said the same thing. Centralizing information, it just makes everything work better.
So it's about creating that single view of the customer.
Yes. So you can listen effectively, respond quickly, no matter how they're interacting. Social media, phone, in person, all that data go into one place.
So what's the takeaway for CX? What's the new imperative?
It's about deep integration. Your apps, your data, your insights, all of it connected. And we need to speed up the adoption of digital tools. Embrace these platforms that make collaboration easier.
And what are we leaving behind?
Silo departments, those endless email chains, huge infrequent meetings for every little decision. And those data silos, we need a complete picture of the member, and everyone needs access to it.
Makes sense. Okay, last big topic. This one's about automation and speeding things up.
The sources actually frame this as an opportunity, a chance to rethink how we work, and to make things better, more efficient for everyone.
So automation isn't just about cutting costs.
Not at all. It's about improving the experience.
Yeah.
And freeing up people to focus on the strategic stuff, the human stuff.
Absolutely. And it's not just for factories anymore.
Right. We're talking about automating those repetitive admin tasks that eat up so much time. Like, there's this great example of Entry Boss integrating with Cycling and TidyHQ for competition management.
Streamlined.
Totally. Fewer errors, more efficiency. And another thing that comes up again and again is documentation.
Why is that so important?
Because you got to capture the best practices. If your processes aren't documented, automating them is, like, impossible. And Stuart from a football netball club, he talked about how valuable it is for onboarding new volunteers, keeping things consistent even when people come and go.
It's about being deliberate, designing your workflows, not just letting them happen. And these new platforms have tools for that, right? Document storage, templates, all that.
It's all built in. So the new automation imperative, it's about having systems for succession planning, embracing automation and integration, and thinking like a developer.
Okay, explain that one. Thinking like a developer. What does that mean?
It's about constantly designing, documenting, and improving your processes, that cycle, and making documentation a priority, not an afterthought.
Got it. So less manual work, less chasing approvals. And no more bottlenecks.
Exactly. Now, one platform that's mentioned throughout all of this is TidyHQ. It seems to be like the key to unlocking a lot of these trends.
Yeah, it keeps coming up.
It's presented as that central hub for accessing information. It makes organizations adaptable, future-proof, because it integrates with all these other systems, and it scales with you. You can customize it as you grow.
Powerful.
And Aaron Bailey from AFL Outer East, he called it the operating system of collaboration, breaking down silos, connecting everyone.
I like that. And they even did an ROI analysis for governing sports body CEOs using TidyConnect.
The numbers are pretty impressive. Bulls Australia estimates they could save a ton of time just by automating basic admin tasks. And they could reduce manual compliance tracking by like 60%.
Wow.
They even think they could eliminate some full-time positions, free up those resources for other things.
To reinvest that in other programs.
Yeah, exactly. And the security features are a big deal too, especially with all these new AI scams popping up.
Staying ahead of the bad guys.
Absolutely. And what's really interesting is the potential for new revenue streams. They talk about data-driven sponsorship.
Okay, how does that work?
Well, with all that data on club engagement compliance, you can create tiered sponsorship models, offer sponsors insights, even do sponsored educational programs.
So much potential.
And it's not just about money, right? It's about good governance, compliance, which means less risk, better reputation. Platforms like TidyConnect, they just make it easier to be credible, trustworthy.
Building that trust.
And for the clubs and associations within the governing body, it makes their lives easier. Simpler admin, better communication, knowledge is preserved. And that means happier, more engaged volunteers.
Everyone wins.
Everyone. And strategically, it positions governing bodies as leaders. They're more attractive to funders, partners. They're driving digital transformation. And they're making decisions based on data, not guesswork.
More efficient, more secure, more agile.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up this deep dive, the message is clear. Sports administration, it's changing big time. Volunteer expectations are evolving. We need better alignment. Partnerships are changing. Customer experience is king, and automation is essential.
A whole new world.
And the future is all about flexibility, digital tools, and being connected. It's about finding that better way to do things.
Embracing the change.
So I want to leave you with this. As you think about everything we talked about, which area has the most potential for your organization? And what's one step you can take right now to start exploring it?
What's your next move?
It's an exciting time, full of possibilities for those who are willing to adapt. So take a look around, challenge those old assumptions, and find your own path forward.
To that better way. Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive.
Thanks for having me.